Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. It's exciting to be here, after the new year. Men, listen up, because there's someone out there that can help you with life coaching who really can resonate with you. And he specializes with dating, confidence, effective communication skills, whether it's dating, relationships, you name it. He is our expert. Armin, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Jill. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Armin, tell us a little bit about yourself. To start, would you mind just simply introducing yourself? Thank you so much.
Sure, of course. So my name is Armin, and I'm the founder and the CEO and the head coach of Social Matrix, which is a life coaching company. And what I do is I focus on in helping men in feeling more confident in themselves, in being able to see your own value and worth, and to learn how to communicate effectively with women on dating apps or in person, and to really make this relationship meaningful so you can actually see each other again and make something develop for the future.
Amazing. As you say on the website, guiding men to control their own reality. And the website for people to reach out to is socialmatrix.network. Do you want to share a phone number, social media page, email address, anything else?
Sure. Yeah. My Instagram is Armin Social Matrix. So just send me a follow or send me a message, and I would love to talk with you further.
Perfect. And your last name is Asadishad?
Yes, my last name, it's just not on anything. It's just my first name.
Perfect. Just want to make sure I introduce you, though, correctly and fully. Okay, so let's get to know Armin. Before we get to the, coaching services you offer, which, by the way, are both virtual and in person. And just to point out, in person, you're in Cambridge, Massachusetts, correct?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. But I'm assuming a lot of people are doing this online. So really you are worldwide and can help anyone, anywhere. And before we get to details and specifics of what you do, would you mind giving us a little bit of your background and backstory? I think that always helps our viewers and listeners get to know you. So as a young boy, I read that you were kind of surrounded by some toxic masculinity, right? And that, caused you some pain. And I can relate to that. Would you mind just sharing a little bit of your experience, please?
Sure. Yeah. So I was born in Iran, and in Iran, the culture, I won't get too much into it, but in Iran's culture, men have all the power. Women, they don't have a say. And growing up, that's all I kept seeing. I kept seeing not just my culture, but when I came to the US too, that men felt like they needed to have control over the relationship. And it felt like it was one-sided, where it's all about what men want, versus having this respect between each other and having each other's boundaries. It was more so about what do men want. It was all about their life versus having this companionship. So seeing all of that everywhere I went, and all of the advice I kept hearing from others was just about how to get what you want versus what is best for both of you. So everything just seemed like one-sided, and it just didn't sit well with me, to be honest with you. And over the years, I got a bachelor's degree and a software engineering as well. And I've been working with, I used to be an elementary guidance counselor. So working with little kids, it taught me a lot about just how, funny enough, little boys taught me a lot about how men operate. So that it gave me like a really good perspective on how are we getting lost from kids, from boys to adults. There has to be some kind of a disconnect happening. Yeah. So I spent a lot of time in therapeutic institutions and just working really deeply with not only children, but also men as well in what's happening, what's going on.
Wow. I commend you on all this. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your experience, and, what life was like there. And, I grew up here in America, New York, but my father was a very male dominating figure, and my mother had no say in anything. She wasn't allowed to drive. She wasn't allowed to have friends. He was very jealous, very aggressive, very similar to, I'm assuming, the culture you grew up in. And it exists here and exists everywhere. Hence, I learned at a young age that this doesn't seem right. Why can't women have the same rights and do the same things? Why can't mom take me out into the grocery store? Why do you have to come? And, so all those things, I appreciate that. And, I have children, they're 7 and 9, and, you try to teach them, equal rights for men and women. I appreciate that. And you know what I also love about you, Armin, because I speak to, different life coaches from time to time. And I probably, over the years, have only spoken to one other male coach out there. So that's awesome, and that's amazing, because you're helping men, and a lot of coaches are dealing with just women. So this is awesome, man to man, and I love that you chose this as your career to help so many people. So thank you for that. And let's get started. And if you don't mind talking a little about the importance, as you say, of self-compassion, right, and having a strong belief.
Sure. Yes. So that's honestly like the emphasis of my program is on having a stronger, I call it inner game, but another way to look at it is just your inner peace, the way you see yourself every day. And the thing with that, Jill, is that a lot of people, they look at self-belief only when things in life is going well. But a lot of times when you get to really work on your self-belief and the way you see yourself is when life is not working out. When you're hit with something that you just never expected. That's when it really matters in how are you going to get back up again. So what I spend a lot of emphasis in the program is on building this strong self-belief for yourself. Because in the end of the day, what's going to happen is life is a roller coaster. It's going to go up and down. Things are never going to be consistently the same. The only thing that can be consistent is the way you see yourself. So something I always teach all the men I coach is kindness does not change because of your mood. And this could even go further, and we could even bring faith into it, not from a religious perspective, but just in the perspective that whatever is going on in life, you need to have faith. You need to have something where, good or bad, you're still able to stay afloat. And that's where most of the teaching comes in, is because a lot of people, they emphasize on what to do when things are positive. Mm-hmm. But I'm more focused on, can you get back up again when life hits you with a brick?
It's so true. And you know what? You mentioned the struggle is real to so many of us out there. So it's exciting that you're here talking to so many people. And can I even just before we get into more specifics about the type of work you're doing, you have such great reviews. And again, go to the website, socialmatrix.network. Let me just read a little, if you don't mind. Eric, who is an accountant, says, I had a great consultation with you, and says, I'm no stranger to self-development, especially when it comes to dating. But he had some very pointed feedback, and he was able to give me, and he really appreciated most was, you giving examples of that and really breaking everything down, and really commends you on, working with you and doing more. Then there's Damon, who says he joined the masterclass program, which we're going to talk about, and you stayed in touch for 2 years on Facebook before you finally committed, hung in there, didn't delete me, and says you have an amazing, incredible emotional intelligence and sensitivity. He can think 3 layers deep. And this person had a problem with dating, struggled, right? And keeping my text threads with single women going, but really stumbling, as he says, over an invisible wire. So the results before joining the program, he says, were dead end, except with most of the courageous women. After the program, I learned about building comfort, staying in my lane until a smooth opportunity arises to progress to the next step up the ladder, to our heart and to a mind. After dating 3 hot marriageable women and getting rejected after the first date for unknown reasons, I was able to figure out what I was doing wrong, right? And it's awesome to, find that acknowledgement with your guidance. And basically, he says he was raising red flags, looking unstable, but learned how to manage his better into the fourth woman and has had 2 successful dates so far. Even got a kiss. What he likes most working about you is that really you feel, you make them feel like they're a priority. And you clearly do that with your clients because they are not afterthoughts. And this person would highly recommend you in your coaching because you are kind of intuitive, he says, and you can really understand this. I like how he says this, invisible staircase to a woman's interest and consent. So I'd recommend this to any decent guy, but not a bad one or dishonest, poor character one. So it's fluid, it's flexible, this program, not expensive. It's a great adjunct with lots of values. Your advice is timely, non-intrusive, and really he's ready to experience that next level with women, and maybe by now he's married. I don't know. Do you have any updates for Damon?
Actually, yeah, it's funny you bring it up. He actually got married last year.
Come on!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And by the way, wow, there's plenty more reviews out there if you go to the website. That is amazing. So you're giving these men a chance, because we all do things wrong. We don't know what we're doing sometimes. And this is awesome. So relationships, online dating, discipline, integrity. Let's talk more about these services. What else would you like to make sure we cover next?
Sure. Something I always emphasize is I'm not, I'm a life coach and I teach about dating, but it's not just about dating. And I think this is where just a lot of men that are viewing in, they might get it confused, where they might see me as just a dating coach, but it's way more than that. And the reason I call myself a life coach is because I have that psychology background. I have that therapeutic experience. I have that background in being able to look at someone's resume, teach them how to pass and ace an interview, know how to speak to their boss and how to speak to even HR if something happens between you and your boss. I know all of that. I have a lot of experience in HR and those fields. So this is more than just getting a girlfriend or getting a wife. This is in how can you level up your entire life.
Yeah, it's fixing your core, your inner working, so you could be a better person in all aspects. Awesome.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So everything it's just like a circle. So I always tell people there's like the triangle of life. The one side of it is dating, your relationships, platonic and intimate, and also a relationship with yourself, which we'll get into later. On the other side of the pillar is your career budgeting, and I help with all of this as well. And then the other side, this is the most emphasis of all, is mental health. The way you see yourself. Mm-hmm. That is really, really crucial and important. And honestly, and I'm not saying this to be pessimistic, but just to be honest, just to be real here, is that if you don't work on yourself, no woman will want you. Just because a part of this is a relationship with yourself, not just women. Yeah. So working on yourself, I'm not saying going to the gym and taking cold showers. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being grateful. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes. Being grateful, just giving love out to other people, not just yourself. And honestly, just being happy about others. That's really important. And also looking at, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're so kind. But please finish your thought and then I'll ask the question. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just super passionate about this. But not just being grateful, not just like giving just respect to other people on the outside, but also most importantly, looking at yourself and just being really real. Yeah. What are your triggers? What are things that, are bothering you? And then the most important reason of all, and I just want to end it with this, is that if you know something is bothering you, take initiative and figure out why. A lot of people skip the why, but the why is the way you get into the root problem of things.
Got it. And you also mentioned in your notes about self-love is super important. And I appreciate your honesty with your own mental health aspect, in a sense, where you mentioned, you weren't feeling good enough at a time in your life and realized that mental health is important. So can I ask, who helped you? Did you have a mentor? Who got you through this? Did you have a coach?
Yes. I will give a shout out to Tim Ray. He was the man who allowed me to see the love within myself. And there was, I took a whole entire program and a lot of mentorship with this individual. And Tim allowed me to see myself. And honestly, it sounds a little corny, but once basically all he did was he just said, Armin, you are a beautiful man. And that right there, I kid you not, but I started crying. And ever since those special words that someone saw me, I made a 180 difference in my life. And I started just looking at my life in a full picture rather than victimizing myself or pitying myself. But I was able to get back up again and push through life. So 8 years ago was the last time I ever attempted suicide. So I've been living 8 years after.
I commend you on being honest about that, and mental health with so many people. I'm sure it resonates to us all, and thank you for that. And here you are helping, so many people now. I can see that smile. I can see that passion. Just can judge people's energy, and you got it. You're just, you're helping so many, and I clearly can see you love what you do. Just curious, are you still in touch with your family, or do they live here now? Are they still there? What do they think about your career choice and what you're doing?
Sure. So my family, we all live in Massachusetts, some of them different states. But my family, honestly, they were not surprised. They were like, oh, finally. Okay, cool. Especially my mother. My mother is like my best friend. But she was the main one where she was like, yay, go Armin. This is awesome. So because I've been giving advice to like whoever wants to hear it since I was like 12 years old. So it's like, they knew that eventually it was either working with animals or working with human beings. So my family always knew eventually I'll cross paths with this field. But they were not shocked at all.
Well, thank you for that. I want to break down, if you don't mind, some of the dating, because you mentioned you want to talk about connecting with women in everyday life, dating apps, connecting through text messages. Things have changed. Let's get to that, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I'm just asking, like, what has changed, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want to go to next. So whatever's on your train, do you want to talk about connecting with women, or do you want to talk about, the new way of communication with texting and apps? There's so much more to talk about. So I'll let you lead the way.
Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways of meeting women. The two main ones that I've been implementing in my coaching and just what I've been teaching. One of them is on dating apps. And I'm just going to break it down just really quickly, and I'll get to the other one. But for dating apps, this is more than just having nice pictures, having a decent bio. This is way more than that. This is so normally when people come to me, their pictures are like decent enough, but the point is they're getting matches. So that's all I care about. I don't care whether some guy comes to me has 5 matches versus someone else who has 100. I don't care about that. What I care is, are you able to connect with her through text messages and get a date? And then what happens? Do you get a second date, or things just don't work out? Because all of that is important to me. So I get a lot of guys, actually, I was getting DMs in the background. I get a lot of guys who they get a lot of matches, but they don't know how to carry the conversation. And the best way to look at text messages is just to see it as another form of communication. This is where a lot of guys get it mixed up. They think it's just, it's digital. Oh, who cares what I say? But it doesn't work that way. I always compare dating apps to like a romance novel, because for regardless of what men think, let's just say, sake of argument, a dating app is a romance novel. If let's say a girl is reading that novel, she's going to be really into the character development, the kind of like the why of the story. She's really interested in like what's going on in that book. So comparing this to a dating app, if you're talking to her, she's going to want to know about your character development. She's going to want to know who you are as a person more than just like the intimacy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's like the one of
yeah. Yep. Wow. Well, I got to ask you a question because I'm 46. I'm single. I have two kids. I never got the relationship thing right. And to be honest with you, right? So, my question is, I don't do all these dating apps and stuff. I mean, this is this really the way of the world now? Even if you're in your late 40s, like, should we be on apps at our age? I mean, how else are you meeting people? Is this the way of the world that I'm out of the loop with? Fill me in.
I'll say it's just an addition. So I never like to look at just anything. Like I don't like to just compartmentalize myself, put myself in a box and be like, oh, I can only talk to women on dating apps. I don't like to live my life that way. You should expand your horizons, not just meeting for like, okay, well, if I used to give advice to women. For women on dating apps, I would say you have to increase your standards and also the way you communicate a little bit more. But for men on dating apps, they just need to know what they want and get to the point. Okay, get right to the point.
Got it. Yeah, I see. And it's funny because men and women just think differently, right? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. What are some of the common mistakes that you find with men and women in the relationships that you're helping to coach with? Could you share a little of that?
Sure. So I'll speak about men. I'll say more of the stuff about that and some things about women. But for men, there's a few things. But one of them is the main mistake I see is rushing. When I say through the process, I mean the process of connection. So the moment they get a match, it's like, oh, it's game over. Let's go out tomorrow. But that's just not gonna work because she wants to know a little bit of more who you are. So nothing bad happens. So for men, skipping steps, trying to get from hi to come over to my house, like that's just not going to work. Having some kind of a conversation, that's going to be helpful. And then the second thing is, and this is like, I would say 9 out of 10 times, men being too sexual when they're texting. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with being sexual. However, there is a time and a place. So doing that as a gecko, it's just not going to work out. Building up to it in some way, and I coach that to my program, that's what's going to work out. Okay, so skipping steps, being too sexual, and also the last thing I would say is playing too many games. So a lot of guys will go to like different forums, and they're looking for another guy who succeeded in getting a date, and they're just copying and pasting his exact words to this specific girl to all the ones he's talking to. That's just not going to fly because now it's not no longer your personality, it's somebody else's. That's not going to work out. For women, the main mistake they make is that they fill in the blanks too many times. So the guy might be like, let's say he's just now responding in a timely fashion, taking way too long. A lot of women, they will assume that, oh, he's probably busy or he's probably something else. And that is fine. Okay, that's fine. However, the moment I tell women this, in your gut, if you realize this guy is weird, unmatched, move on. Because a lot of times what happens is, and this is pretty scary, but this does happen, is I hear this from my girlfriends. They'll mention they went out on a date with a guy, but then the guy, he had different plans and he wanted to do something else.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, yeah.
I got to ask this question because as a coach, you're working with men and women, but also women are, different in a sense, and every woman is different, right? So it's kind of, do you give them the advice, before the date, during the date, after the date too? Do you do like follow-ups and like kind of quiz each other, like what's going on? Or what is your plan of coaching and how do you coach, I guess is more of what I'm asking. When you meet, what are some of the things you're doing? And then I'm assuming you give the follow-ups after the dates, right?
Sure. So, have you seen the movie Hitch with Will Smith?
No, I never did. I'm sorry. Okay. Explain it to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie, but I'm kind of like Hitch. So basically, the way it works is that I just had a client who went on a date recently, and the way it works is this. So, depending on which program I'm with the client, what I will do is before the date, I will run down to like how a date should go. And then during the date, I'm kind of like on call. So I will have the guy, he could excuse himself to go use the bathroom or something. But I'm like next to my phone. I'm waiting for him to message me. So on the date, I will be next to my phone waiting for him to send me a text or something so I can help him out. And then after date, normally, my clients will message me back to see what happened. So from the whole process, from beginning, middle to the end, I'm always there, like kind of like a parrot on his shoulder. And the way it will work is that, so that's him on the date. The way my coaching works is that I have like one-on-one calls with the guys on Zoom. Some of the other calls I have will be like, I'll be in your ear. I'll give you advice immediately while you're outside talking to women. And then the last thing I do, and this is like the kicker, a lot of other coaches don't do this, but I do this because I know it will benefit all my clients, is that I do a 24/7 chat support. So I have a Discord channel and everything.
Oh, wow.
They're able to message me. And I always emphasize, like, if you're going through a rough time in life, let me know. I know it's not about girls, but it's okay. Like, it's life. So I'm like almost like a 24/7 psychologist, pretty much, like, or a coach, I would say. They can message me anytime around the clock, as long as, I'm not obviously sleeping.
Armin, and it's a reality show. This is like a great reality show because I could picture you, like, how they have, I forget, it's called What Would You Do? And you sit there with like an earpiece in and the host, and like you're on a date and you got an earpiece in and you're coaching like your client what to say, what not to say. Pull the seat out for her. Yes. Shake your head. Yes. Pretend you're interested even though you don't like ballet. Whatever they're talking about. I could picture this is a great concept here. You never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about the book? Are you writing a book, or don't tell me you wrote a book already and I don't know about it?
I do have an ebook for texting, but I'm finishing a few things to it.
Awesome. Well, let's remind everyone at this time, your phone number, all the ways we can contact you, please. And of course, when you reach out, do you offer a free consultation? Is there a charge for it? How does that part work?
Sure. So the first thing I do is we do a free consultation, which is about 30 minutes long. Because at the end of the day, I want to know if I can actually help you out. And if I can't, I have a lot of resources. But yes, the free 30-minute consultation call, and to see like, if you're a good fit or not. And then my program is really tailored to like meet their needs. The overview, I teach everyone the same, but their goals will manifest differently depending on what they are.
Got it. And, this is being our first show today. We're getting to know you. Excited that you're here. I just want to point out, you mentioned a little bit about, you don't need motivation, you need commitment, right? And it's about how bad do you want it. And it's exciting to talk to someone who clearly is helping people get what they want. And let me ask, I don't know where you were during the pandemic. Did you have this business back then? When did you start officially coaching?
Sure. I started in September 2019. So right before COVID hit.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know if that took a toll on you, but then in the end, you got the virtual clients now, which is amazing. But one thing COVID taught me, and I think a lot of us, to appreciate and to really start living your life to the fullest and go for what you want. And especially now here, it's January 9th, 2025. It's the new year, the new you. These are the times to start getting committed and improving yourself. So I think it's a perfect idea, ladies and gentlemen. If you know someone who's interested, if you're not listening yourself, it's a great gift idea too. Call Armin and get started. Do you have a certain packages and programs? Is it and also the master class? Is that like a group session?
Yes, the master class, the group session. It's like one not complimentary, but there's one group call per week. Awesome. And as we get more people, I will be doing this as well, having small groups. Because at the end of the day, I just want to help you guys out. That's what I want to do.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm excited I got to meet you here. And I hope our listeners and viewers do give you the opportunity to reach out and take advantage of getting to know you. And please go back to the website. There's also video testimonials, too, of the people you help. So it's time to take action. Make that discovery call appointment. You can do that right on the website, socialmatrix.network. Armin, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. It's exciting.
Thank you so much, Jill, for having me here. This was really exciting.
You have a fantastic day. Thank you again. And to all of our listeners, please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. Thank you. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.